I pressed my back against the cold stone wall of the wine cellar, my breath coming in shallow gasps as I heard footsteps approaching from above. The smell of aged oak barrels and fermenting grapes filled my nostrils, but all I could focus on was the small recording device hidden in my shirt pocket. This was it. 5 days of playing the fool were about to pay off. My name is Robert Whitman. I'm 63 years old, and until 2 weeks ago, I thought I was the luckiest man alive. Retired from a 30-year career as a structural engineer, comfortable pension, a beautiful home in suburban Portland, and a wife who claimed to love me. Jennifer was 58, my second chance at happiness, after losing my first wife Margaret to cancer 8 years ago. We'd met at a grief support group, of all places. She'd lost her husband to a heart attack, or so she said. Now I knew better, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. It was a Tuesday morning in late September when Jennifer surprised me with the gift. I'd just finished my morning coffee on our back deck, watching the autumn leaves drift down from the maple trees, when she came out holding an envelope with a ribbon around it. "Happy early birthday, sweetheart," she said, kissing my cheek. Her perfume was the same expensive French brand she always wore, the one I'd bought her for our anniversary. "My birthday's not for 3 weeks," I said, taking the envelope. Inside were brochures for a luxury wine-tasting tour through Napa Valley. 7 days, 5-star accommodations, private vineyard tours. The works. The kind of trip that would cost $15,000 easy. "I know, but I wanted to surprise you. You've been working so hard on the house renovations, and you deserve a break. We both do." She squeezed my shoulder. "Plus, you're always talking about visiting wine country. I booked us for next month." I should have been thrilled. Instead, something gnawed at the back of my mind. Jennifer had been unusually attentive lately, extra affectionate, insisting we update our life insurance policies just to be safe. She'd even suggested I increase mine to $3 million, saying a man of my age needed to think about these things. But I pushed those thoughts away. I was being paranoid, probably just my engineer's mind, looking for problems where there weren't any. Margaret used to tease me about that, how I'd overanalyze everything. "This is incredible, Jen. Thank you." I pulled her into a hug, feeling guilty for my suspicions. The guilt lasted exactly 9 days. I'd driven to Home Depot that Saturday morning to pick up materials for the deck expansion I'd been planning. Jennifer thought I'd be gone for hours, my usual routine of browsing every aisle and comparing prices. But they were out of the lumber I needed, so I headed back home after 45 minutes. As I pulled into our driveway, I noticed Jennifer's car was still there, but so was a silver BMW I didn't recognize. Probably one of her book club friends, I thought. I grabbed my phone from the passenger seat and headed for the front door. That's when I heard her voice coming through the open kitchen window. "You're absolutely sure he won't suspect anything," Jennifer was saying. "Robert's not stupid. He designed buildings for 3 decades. He notices details." I froze, my hand on the doorknob. A man's voice responded, low and smooth. "Babe, I've been planning this for months. The wine cellar tour at Castello de Luz has those old stone staircases, poor lighting, wet floors from the temperature control system. Happens all the time. Elderly tourists slip, crack their heads open. The staff even warned us about it when I did the advanced scout last month." "Elderly? I was 63, not 90. And you're certain it can't be traced back to us?" Jennifer's voice held an edge of fear now. "The police will investigate. They always do with insurance claims this large. That's why you won't be anywhere near him when it happens. You'll be at the spa across town, plenty of witnesses. I'll be the concerned tour guide who tried to save him. Tragic accident. You'll be devastated. Collect the $3 million from the life insurance, plus his retirement accounts, the house, everything. We split it 60-40, like we agreed." My legs nearly gave out. I gripped the doorframe to steady myself. "And his son?" Jennifer asked. "Thomas called me yesterday. Wants to visit for Thanksgiving." The man laughed. It was a cold sound. "The son who hasn't spoken to his dad in 2 years because you convinced Robert he was only after money? That son? Don't worry about him. After the funeral, you play the grieving widow for 6 months. Then we get married like we planned. By the time anyone asks questions, we'll be in Costa Rica." I must have made some sound, a gasp, a sharp intake of breath. Something. Did you hear that? Jennifer's voice went sharp. Kyle, I think someone's. I didn't wait to hear more. I moved as quietly as possible back to my truck, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might give me a real heart attack. I pulled out of the driveway slowly, fighting every instinct that screamed at me to confront them. 2 blocks away, I finally let myself pull over and shake. My wife of 5 years had been planning to murder me for money, with her ex-boyfriend Kyle, who she'd claimed was completely out of her life. I sat there in my truck for 20 minutes, gripping the steering wheel, trying to process what I'd heard. Part of me wanted to believe I'd misunderstood, but I'm an engineer. I deal in facts, in structural integrity, and what I'd just heard was a blueprint for murder. Finally, I did what any rational person would do. I called my oldest friend, Detective Martinez, Portland PD. Rick answered on the second ring. Rick, it's Robert. I need to talk to you, in person, not at the station. We'd known each other since high school. He heard something in my voice. Where are you? 20 minutes later, we sat in his unmarked car in the parking lot of a strip mall, and I told him everything. Rick listened without interrupting, his cop face on. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. That's a hell of a thing, he finally said. But here's our problem, Rob. What you've got is an overheard conversation. No recording, no physical evidence. Just your word against theirs. Any lawyer would shred it in 30 seconds. So I'm supposed to just cancel the trip? Change my will and hope they give up? You could. But people like this don't give up. They'll wait, find another opportunity. Maybe something less obvious next time. Rick drummed his fingers on the steering wheel. Or what? Or you go to Napa. Let them think you don't suspect a thing. But we wire you up, get them on tape talking about the plan. Get this Kyle character to confess. Then we've got conspiracy to commit murder. Attempted murder. Real charges that stick. I stared at him. You want me to walk into a trap? I want you to survive and get justice. But yeah, that means going into the trap. He turned to face me. Look, I can't officially sanction this. I'm not even supposed to be involved, since you're a friend. But I've got a buddy in the FBI who handles this kind of thing. Financial crimes, insurance fraud. He can set you up with recording equipment that nobody will find. We'll have agents in Napa before you even arrive. You'll never be in real danger. Never in real danger? Rick, they're planning to push me down stone stairs. They're planning to push an unsuspecting old man down stone stairs. You'll be expecting it. You'll be ready. And we'll be right there. He put his hand on my shoulder. I know it's scary, but it's either this, or spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder, waiting for the next accident. He was right. I knew he was right. Jennifer had already poisoned my relationship with Thomas, isolated me from most of my friends with her subtle comments and scheduling conflicts. She'd been planning this for months, maybe years. If I just canceled the trip, she'd know I was suspicious. She'd go underground, wait for another chance. Okay, I said, let's do it. The next 3 weeks were the longest of my life. I had to go home and act normal. Smile when Jennifer talked about the trip. Pretend excitement as she showed me the itinerary she'd carefully planned. Every moment felt like playing Russian roulette. Rick's FBI contact, Agent Sarah Chen, met me twice in secret. She was a slim Asian woman in her 40s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. The first meeting was at a coffee shop 40 minutes outside Portland. Mr. Whitman, I want you to understand what you're agreeing to, she said, sliding a waiver across the table. Despite what Agent Martinez told you, there is risk involved. If something goes wrong, if they deviate from the plan, we might not reach you in time. I understand. Do you? Because most people don't. They think having a wire makes them invincible. It doesn't. It makes you a recording device. Your job is to stay safe first, gather evidence second. If at any point you feel your life is in immediate danger, you use the panic word. Firefly. Say that word, and we extract you immediately. Understood? Firefly. Got it. She showed me the equipment. a tiny microphone disguised as a shirt button, a recording device the size of a credit card that would be sewn into the lining of my jacket, a GPS tracker in my watch, and a small canister of pepper spray disguised as a pen. "The spray is a last resort," she warned. "Using it breaks your cover. But if it's between blowing your cover and taking a header down those stairs, you spray first and ask questions later." The second meeting was 2 days before the trip. Agent Chen walked me through scenarios. They'll likely make their move at Castello di Luz. It's the only place on your itinerary with the right setup, old architecture, stone stairs, private tours. I've had our team scout it. There are 6 places where they could stage an accident. We'll have agents positioned at each one. What if Jennifer gets suspicious? She knows me pretty well. Then you lean into your engineering background. Be yourself. Talk about the architecture, the structural integrity of these old wine cellars. Let her think you're just being your usual analytical self. People see what they expect to see. I practiced in the mirror for hours, smiling, laughing at Jennifer's jokes, acting like a man excited for a romantic getaway, not one walking into an ambush. The morning we left for Napa, Jennifer was radiant. She'd gotten her hair done the day before, bought a whole new wardrobe for the trip. As we loaded our bags into her car, I caught her texting someone and quickly hiding her phone. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Oh, just telling my sister we're leaving. You know how she worries." The lie came so smoothly. Jennifer didn't have a sister. The drive to Portland International was surreal. Jennifer held my hand, talked about how romantic the vineyards would be, how this was exactly what we needed to reconnect. I wondered if she felt any guilt at all, or if I was just a retirement account with legs to her. Our flight landed in San Francisco at 2 p.m. We picked up our rental car and drove north through the golden hills of wine country. Jennifer had booked us at the Meadowood Resort, one of those places where even the towels cost more than most people's monthly rent. That evening, we had dinner at their 3-star Michelin restaurant. Jennifer ordered a bottle of wine that cost $400. "To us," she said, raising her glass, "and to many more years together." I clinked my glass against hers, tasting ash. "To us." Back in our room, she was unusually amorous. I made excuses, tired from the flight. Wanted to be fresh for tomorrow's tours. She pouted but didn't push it. As she slept beside me, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, Agent Chen's words echoing in my head. "Stay safe first. Evidence second." The next 4 days were a carefully choreographed dance. We visited 3 vineyards. Jennifer played the role of loving wife perfectly, laughing at my engineering jokes, holding my arm as we walked through the grape rows. I played along, all while the microphone in my button captured everything. At night, she'd step outside to make quick calls to her book club or check in with her sister. I knew she was talking to Kyle, coordinating. The FBI was recording those too, though I wouldn't hear them until later. Day 5 was when it all came together. Castello di Luz. The winery was everything they'd described. A renovated 16th century stone monastery perched on a hillside, with underground cellars that went 3 levels deep. Our tour was scheduled for 2 p.m., a private tasting with their master sommelier. Jennifer had been quiet that morning. Nervous, probably. At breakfast, she barely touched her food. "You feeling okay?" I asked. "Just a headache. I think I might skip the Castello tour. Maybe go to that spa we passed yesterday. Get a massage." Right on schedule. Establishing her alibi. "You sure? You were so excited about this one." "I know, but I really need to relax." "You go ahead. I'll meet you back at the hotel tonight, and we can have a nice dinner." She kissed my forehead. "Besides, you'll enjoy it more without me asking silly questions about barrel aging." I pretended to be disappointed. "Well, if you're sure." "I'm sure. You have fun." She dropped me off at the winery at 1:45. As her car disappeared down the winding road, I felt the weight of the recording device against my ribs. Agent Chen's voice crackled in the nearly invisible earpiece I wore. "We have visual. 4 agents inside, 2 on the perimeter. The tour guide who shows up won't be their guy. We intercepted Kyle this morning. He's currently in federal custody. They're sending someone else." My hands were shaking. I shoved them in my pockets. The someone else appeared 5 minutes later. A young man, maybe 30, with the kind of too-perfect smile that salespeople have. "Mr. Whitman, I'm Derek. I'll be your guide today. Welcome to Castello de Luz." We started on the main level, tasting room and gift shop. Derek was knowledgeable, professional, nothing suspicious, just a regular tour guide. Maybe Agent Chen had been wrong. Maybe. Then we headed down to the cellars. The stone stairs were exactly as Kyle had described, worn smooth by centuries of use, damp from the climate control system that kept the cellars at a perfect 55 degrees. Lighting was minimal, authentic medieval sconces that created more shadows than illumination. "Watch your step," Derek said cheerfully. "These stairs can be tricky." We descended to the second level. Rows of oak barrels stretched into the darkness. The smell was intoxicating. Wood, wine, earth. Derek poured samples from different barrels, explaining the aging process. I nodded along, but my attention was on the surroundings, counting exits, noting the wet patches on the floor. "Now, Mr. Whitman, the real treasure is on the third level. That's where we keep our reserve collection. Wines from the 1800s, bottles worth more than most cars. Interested?" "Absolutely." The stairs to the third level were narrower, steeper. I noticed Derek positioning himself behind me. Agent Chen's voice in my ear. "We see it. Team is moving into position. Remember, if anything feels wrong..." Derek's hand touched my back, gentle, guiding me. He'd say if anyone asked. But I felt the pressure shift, the subtle push toward the edge of the stairs. And then I heard it. A voice from the shadows below. "Now would be good, Derek." Kyle's voice. Agent Chen swore in my ear. "That's impossible. We have him in." Understanding hit me like a freight train. They'd sent a decoy. The FBI had grabbed some random guy, and the real Kyle was right here, waiting. Derek's push became harder, less subtle. I grabbed for the railing, but it was damp, slick. My feet started to slide. This was it, the moment they'd been planning. Time seemed to slow down. I could fall, hope the FBI got here before I cracked my skull open. Or I could fight. I chose to fight. Using the momentum of Derek's push, I spun, dropping my weight low like Rick had taught me in our self-defense sessions. My elbow caught Derek in the solar plexus. He gasped, stumbled backward. From below, Kyle shouted. "What the hell?" I pulled the pepper spray pen from my pocket. "Firefly!" I shouted. "Firefly!" Derek lunged at me again, but I sprayed him full in the face. He screamed, clawing at his eyes. Then I ran not up, which is what they'd expect, but down, toward Kyle, toward the evidence. Kyle was climbing the stairs, reaching into his jacket. For what? A gun? A knife? I didn't give him the chance to show me. I hit him low, all my weight and momentum. We both went down hard on the stone floor. I felt something in my shoulder pop, but adrenaline kept me moving. "You crazy old bastard," Kyle gasped, trying to roll me off. "You were supposed to just fall." "FBI, hands where we can see them." The lights blazed on. Suddenly the cellar was full of people in tactical gear, weapons drawn. I rolled off Kyle, clutching my shoulder. Agent Chen was there, pulling me up. "Jesus, Whitman." When I said, "if you feel in danger," I meant use the panic word before the kung fu routine. "Is it all recorded?" I asked. "Did you get it?" She smiled grimly. "Every word." Kyle just confessed to conspiracy to commit murder. And we got Jennifer on the phone coordinating with the decoy we grabbed this morning. She's being picked up at the spa as we speak. I sat down heavily on a wine barrel, my whole body shaking. It was over. Really over. Derek was on the ground, still wiping his eyes, crying about how they'd promised him $10,000 just to scare me. Kyle was screaming about his lawyer. The FBI was photographing everything, collecting evidence. My shoulder hurt like hell, probably dislocated, but I was alive. More than that, I was free. The trial took 8 months. Jennifer tried everything, claimed she'd been manipulated by Kyle, that she never meant for it to go that far, that she really did love me. Her lawyer even suggested I'd made the whole thing up for attention. But the recordings didn't lie. The FBI had everything. Her phone calls coordinating the plot, Kyle's confessions, Derek's testimony after he flipped for a plea deal. The advance payment from Jennifer's secret bank account to Kyle, $50,000, with $250,000 more promised after my accident. In the end, Jennifer got 25 years for conspiracy to commit murder and insurance fraud. Kyle got 30. He had a prior attempted murder charge from a decade ago that the prosecution managed to dig up. Derek got 5 years for his cooperation. My shoulder healed, though it still aches when the weather changes. Rick says that's my war wound, my reminder that I'm tougher than I look. The hardest call was to my son Thomas. "Dad," he answered on the first ring, surprise in his voice. We hadn't spoken since the argument about Jennifer 2 years ago. The argument she'd orchestrated, I now realized. "Thomas, I need to tell you something, and I need to apologize." I told him everything. When I finished, there was a long silence. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I should have tried harder to make you see." "No, I should have listened. You were right about her. I was just lonely, stupid." "You weren't stupid. You were grieving. She took advantage of that." Another pause. "I'm coming to visit this weekend, and I'm not taking no for an answer." He brought his kids, my grandchildren, who I'd barely seen in 2 years. We spent Thanksgiving together, the first real family gathering I'd had since Margaret died. I sold the house. Too many bad memories. Bought a smaller place near Thomas's family, closer to the grandkids. The insurance company returned my premiums and investigated every claim Jennifer had ever filed. Turns out her first husband hadn't died of a heart attack after all. The case was reopened. As for me, I've learned something I wish I'd known earlier. When someone shows you who they are, when your gut tells you something's wrong, listen. Your instincts are structural supports, just like any building. Ignore them at your peril. I also learned that revenge isn't always about striking back. Sometimes it's about standing up, about refusing to be a victim, about surviving and making sure the truth comes out. Last week, I got a letter from Jennifer. Prison mail, heavily censored. She wanted to talk, to explain, to ask for forgiveness. I burned it. Not out of anger. I'm past anger. But because some bridges, once burned, should stay that way. Some structures are better demolished than repaired. I'm 64 now. My shoulder aches on cold mornings. I have grandkids who climb on me like a jungle gym. I have a son who calls every Sunday. I have friends I'd lost touch with who welcomed me back. And I have something more valuable than any life insurance policy. I have proof that even at 63, even when you feel like life has passed you by, you're stronger than you think. That trip to Napa Valley was supposed to be my ending. Instead, it became my beginning. Funny how that works out.